All right, guys, Gabe Cicala here, licensed real estate agent in the greater Charlotte area in North Carolina. I attended the Zillow Unlock event this past week in Las Vegas, and I want to detail the biggest takeaways from this event, the most overwhelming, underwhelming, and everything in between. So without further ado, here we go. The event took place at the Fontainebleau in Las Vegas on the Strip. It's a massive newer hotel. Apparently it was under construction for a while, and then after a good amount of time, they did gain the investors they needed to finish it, so it's been done for a couple years. It was futuristic, it was beautiful, there were multiple casinos, there were a ton of restaurants, shopping, there was a gorgeous gym, and then there were conference centers, and on top of that, there were about 60 floors of rooms, of hotel rooms. So it was a very massive hotel, beautiful place, very inspiring environment. That was kind of the setting of the event. It took place from Monday to Wednesday this past week, November 4th to November 6th. It was a lot, there's a lot going on at this event. I want to get into my biggest takeaways, some underwhelming, some overwhelming. No particular order, I'm just going to go down my list. So I hope this is beneficial in some way, and leave your comments below if you have any questions. I believe wholeheartedly in this point. I think the atmosphere was wonderful, and it's very easy to be inspired in an environment like this. There's a million people all working to be the best real estate agents, have the best resources, and provide the best experience for customers. It's all about bettering yourself and creating that future that you've dreamt of having, and the future that you want to create for your clients. So it's very easy to be inspired and think of these big ideas and these new trends that you want to get involved in when you're in an environment like that. It really goes to show how important your environment is, because if you're in an environment slower paced, more relaxed and casual, you are going to tend to become slower paced and more relaxed and casual. When I'm 26, I want to be hustling, I want to grind, I want to create the best career that I can for myself, for my clients, for my future family, and it's very easy to struggle with that. So I would say if you can surround yourself with as many positive influences, I really think that that's important. It's important for me, so I just want to touch on that. I thought this was really funny. I'm not one for, the super sappy, you got this, motivation. Like I'm more one to cheer on others, but that doesn't do much for me to get those, epic motivational speeches. It was very much like the real estate is life montage. We got rap songs, this hype up motivational stuff. That didn't really do a ton for me, but I just thought that was kind of funny. Like, yes, real estate is life. Like, let's go. The event as a whole felt kind of like American Psycho vibes in that scene where Patrick Bateman and the other businessman in that room are talking about who has like the best business card.
New card. What do you think?
It was just like other people talking about what they've done in the industry and trying to one-up each other in conversation.
Oh my God. It even has a watermark.
It kind of gave off New Year's resolutionist vibes a little bit, like, yes, this is the chance to grind, and then 5 days later, everybody who's there is going to forget about everything that was said. I'm all for it. It was positive, so let's go. Whoever was speaking made the point that if you're selling, say, Charlotte, North Carolina, it's important to practice what you preach in Charlotte, North Carolina. So don't sell, for example, he was saying, don't sell Charlotte, North Carolina and live in Greensboro, North Carolina, an hour and a half away. You got to live in the community. And one thing that I really thought was awesome that he said was you have to give back to that community. Coach a sport for a local team in your area. Give donations to some kind of committee or some kind of group. Maybe invest in a local project that's going on. Just little stuff like that, but I just thought that was awesome because it's a really good point. I remember when I didn't have a house, there's a level of selling a house or buying a house that you only know if you've done it yourself. I would assume it's like flying a plane. If you study how to fly a plane, you can probably on paper tell people how to fly a plane, but if you've never done it, you can't do it as well. You need to get your feet on the ground and actually experience it for yourself. That just goes to show even more. If you're a client and you're confused where to go, and your agent has invested in an area versus another and believes in one based on their actions, not what they're only saying, and that can be really impactful in your client's decisions. There's an emphasis on staying in the deep end. So it's very easy in real estate to grind for a couple months and then fall out of place, to grind for 6 months and then say, you know what, I'm going to take a month off, not going to take any more leads, just work the people that I got, and then get back to it in a month or two. It is so easy to do that. So they made the point, one of the speakers used the quote, stay in the deep end. Keep fighting for leads, keep fighting for your client, keep fighting for business and growth. Taking even a 2-week hiatus, it's going to impact your business. So I love that point. Even if things are going well, you got to stay in the deep end and keep grinding. I thought that was a really good point. So the next point that was made by the co-founder of Space Real Estate, which I thought was an awesome name and I never heard of until the event. He was speaking about getting leads, lead sources, and what your business looks like after a year, after 2 years, etc. He said as you keep going in your business, year 1, year 2, they're primarily leads. You're just trying to build your sphere. But then he was talking about how to build leads beyond that. For me personally, I've sold about 50 homes in the past 2 years. He was saying after 2 years, if you sold 25 homes, and in my case, 50 homes, you have 50 past clients that have to know at least 2 to 3 other people that could be looking for assistance when it comes to buying or selling or investing in a home. If you don't reach out to those clients and re-emphasize that you're here for not only them, but you're here for your friends, their family, say those 3 people that they know, that 50 people becomes 150 potential other clients that are just sitting there. So as your past client list grows, it's really important not only to farm new leads, but to take advantage of farming those past clients and their friends and family so that you can grow your pipeline exponentially just by doing that. I thought that was a really good point. Something else that was touched on by this entire panel when they were talking about how to get new lead sources, what lead sources are the best, they all touched on that 1 to 3 lead sources is the absolute best range, 3 at the max, 1 at the low end. They said you don't want your business to be more than 50% of one lead. So for example, I am a Zillow agent, I get Zillow clients. If I get Zillow clients, if I build my pipeline and get referrals, and then I get leads from my company, I don't want any of those to take up more than 50% of my pipeline. I actually think that's really bad for my clients. Desperation is emotion, and you can't bring emotion into a transaction. If you keep less than 50% of your business in each different lead source, it keeps desperation out of it. You keep grinding consistently, and you're in the market a lot more than you would be otherwise. The event days were long, and that's not the actual point, that's just the intro to the point. We woke up at 5, we ate breakfast at 7:30 after working out, and then we would be on the floor until about 6 every day. It was, you were standing for a large majority of it if you didn't get a seat, and there were speakers speaking for literally from like 9, 5, or 6. So it was a lot of speaking to listen to, a lot to pay attention to. I could tell everybody was getting exhausted. Now the important takeaway from this is if you are feeling tired or you're feeling like you're grinding really hard and you're reaching your max capacity, I can guarantee you if you feel it, everybody else in the same position is feeling it too. You have the opportunity to outwork them then. If you are doing 2 leads a day, I can guarantee you other people are feeling exhausted doing that too. It's almost exciting to be tired because everybody else is tired and is going to give up in 5 seconds. So you can't give up. You push past them and it gives you a huge clear-cut opportunity to work harder than your competition, clear path to get better than them faster. Please take that and please run with that. The next takeaway that I thought was really impactful was if the market is going to crash in the near future, or if that's a myth and it's not going to per the data. So the Zillow head economist did a speech and gave his analysis based on data of whether the market is going to crash or not. I know there's a lot of people who are hyping up a crash in the market, mainly people who don't own real estate right now, but that's besides the point. Based on the data, there's a couple points that I wanted to touch on that support a market crash not being a reality in the future. There is more equity in homes now than there has been in the past 2 decades, and that is rising. So equity in homes is substantially rising, and I can put a graph up here, I just got to find it, to show kind of that trend and how that's changing in homes. So that's a good thing. The next point I want to make is about affordability alone. Is the disparity between income and needed money to buy a home increasing or is it decreasing? And I thought this was really interesting. Back in 2023, October, when rates were like 8%, 8.5%, they were nuts. The average household needed $123,000 in October 23 to make a purchase and make their down payment with an average income at that time of $78,000, a $45,000 difference. Now the average household needs $113,000, which is a $10,000 difference, and income has gone up to an average of $83,000. So that's a $5,000 difference, which means the gap is reduced in affordability by $15,000 in just 2 years, which is great considering the gap was $45,000 and now it's $30,000. We've reduced the gap essentially by 1/3. 33%. That's incredible. That is a good sign. That's not a sign that the market's going to crash. So I thought those points were very interesting to support that the market is not going to crash. They had a talk from Jessica Alba. She was there talking about her honest company and kind of her journey a little bit. And I honestly thought this was kind of the weakest part of the entire event. I thought, I didn't really get much out of this other than just watching the Invisible Woman speak. That was kind of fun. But other than that, I really didn't get a ton out of this. I thought it was kind of bland. There wasn't a ton of insight into business development. It was more like, hoorah, you got this, stick the plan, be kind, stay positive. And that's all good information, but it wasn't groundbreaking to me. One of the more underwhelming topics that was talked about. The next takeaway I had was the lasting real estate market as a whole and all of the agents involved. The real estate industry, now that we've had the NAR lawsuits saying that we have to have something signed by a buyer before we can even tour a property. Now we have AI coming into play. There's so much tech involved in winning listings versus losing them. And so much specificity when it comes to building your business now that there wasn't before I was in the industry. It has become so concentrated and so competitive, it's ridiculous. So the point that they made was it's a good thing for the real estate industry as a whole. People have the internet. People look on millions of sites. They ask ChatGPT. They talk to a ton of different people. All of these resources to decide it. And then on top of that, you're going to be one of 5, 10 other agents that's getting interviewed. And by that time, it is, it's a 10% chance of winning the listing. So it's becoming a lot more difficult to articulate your value to a client in this industry. So it's good for one reason. The one reason is now the agents who are kind of fly by night, they get their license, do it for 6 months and leave. It's getting a lot harder to do that for even 6 months. The barrier to entry is becoming very difficult. The opposite side to that, it is creating greater barrier to entry for others who want to get into the industry. So if you're new, you're young, it is more difficult to get into and succeed in real estate as an agent from the get-go. It might take a little bit longer, but I can assure you, you can still do it. There are possibilities for you and there are ways to succeed, and I can help you get there. The most overwhelming, overarching theme of the conference was the power and integration of AI. The amount that ChatGPT is being used in other AI softwares are going to be used and are already being used when it comes to listing properties, finding information, reviewing documents. It's becoming extensive. So it is paving a path for a completely different real estate world. Speed of responses, speed of tech. It's made way more advances and been the fastest growing software probably in the history of the world. I can't think of anything else that has grown as exponentially as AI is. So it is really taking a hold in the industry, and those agents who don't want to get involved with AI or who are not interested in it altogether are going to take a hit because it's almost imperative to be using it in some sense. It is amazing how much more efficient it makes you as an agent. It makes you a lot better as an agent. I remember when Jasper AI a couple of years ago was a thing, and they were creating listing descriptions on Jasper AI saying this is the new wave, it's incredible. Just the descriptions. Now, if you go on ChatGPT, you can form your own board of advisors based on deep research of Mark Cuban, Robert Herjavec. Like, you could put the entire Shark Tank panel as your board of advisors so that you can create responses based on what those real people would do in AI. Everything was based around AI at this conference. Everything. Those were all of my takeaways in a nutshell. I think it was a really good conference. Those who take the information that was given will significantly increase their ability to succeed, increase their 2026 potential. I think it was really good. So I give Zillow a lot of credit. I'm thankful for the event and thankful that I got the chance to go. And I hope this was helpful a little bit and you got some good information out of it. So thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Gabe Cicala on all 3 platforms. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a great rest of your week and we'll talk soon. Thanks.